What's up, guys? It's Chlo. I'm Chlo. And today we have Chuck Lemenager here with us today from Earlybird Feed and Fertilizer. Chuck, thank you so much for being here.
No problem.
So to start off, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your background in agriculture?
Well, started out obviously being kind of born into it when I was a young kid. My dad actually ran about 150 Hereford cows up at, he actually rented a pasture in Joliet, which was 50 miles from home. And it was kind of a neat deal. It was the ammunition plant. So you had to actually be 16 to get in there, but in those days we had the big grain trucks and he could kind of sneak us in and either put us on the floorboard and the guard wouldn't see us, but he'd rent about 1,700 acres up there, and he'd hay that, as well as back home he row cropped about 1,000 acres. And what we do is we'd feed out excuse me, he'd sell about 20 bulls a year and basically have some replacement heifers and stuff that he'd sell. But that's when basically ever since we were born we had cattle. And Luke and I obviously showed all through 4-H and stuff together, and we're very active in FFA and livestock judging, and through high school and stuff. We had won the state fair like in 92, 94, 96 with our Semitol, and we had actually switched to Semitols. Basically went to Joliet Junior College on a livestock judging scholarship. Worked with Dale Hummel there, and then went on with Bruce Agnell at Western Illinois. And since when I graduated there, about 2 weeks left to go. I didn't have a job, and I had interviewed at Joliet with IBP, and they went and they were actually at the career fair at Western, and the same guy that was doing the recruiting who had offered me the job out of junior college, I was there again, and luckily with 2 weeks left to go, I finally got a job. So I actually bought hogs for 20 years, and it was kind of one of them things. I liked buying hogs because I like the people in the agriculture thing, obviously, but I didn't have a lot of passion with it. And that's when, luckily, it'll be 3 years in November, I started at Earlybird. So, I mean, met my wife, Tori, after, I had been in the forest area for about 3 years. And Gene Weber, a very prominent show pig guy, told me that I needed to go introduce myself to this girl, and I did. And we got married, and obviously we've got 2 kids, Kurt and Grace, a set of twins that are going to be freshmen now. So that came in quick.
Yeah.
But we show, obviously, Luke and I now have a sale in October, and Luke and I focus together on the Angus thing, and then my kids and I, we've run about 20 Semitol cows still with my dad. So we do the Semitol thing and sell the Angus. It works out. Yep.
So how did you get started there?
Well, I obviously bought all my feed there, and I obviously had a great relationship with Drew Stollard and Mike Owens. Mike I didn't know near as well as I did Drew, but Drew would always stop by the hog market and we'd visit for a while and talk about feed. And I obviously had a lot of passion still with the show cattle thing, even though I was buying hogs, and tried to stay current and was judging some, and we were expanding that at Earlybird quite a bit, and it worked out great where he came and he goes, hey, would you ever be interested in buying feed? And like I said, the buying hogs thing was great, but when you can do something that you're passionate about and love every day, it doesn't really seem that good. So it was just one of them things. Drew came to me one day and said, hey, would you be interested in talking to Mike? And I'm like, well, what's he doing this afternoon? Because I was ready. So, but it was perfect timing, and it's a great company. Ralph and Dan Goodman are it's kind of one of those, we're big, but they've got that family, kind of that family sense. And those are two of the coolest. You don't have a hard time getting up and try to make them guys money because they're that good of people. And when they're not the type of bosses Mike isn't, that just sits and hovers over you. I mean, he considers you an adult and expects you to go do your job and doesn't have to babysit you. So that's a big deal. You're not a number. That was a bad thing about Tyson. IBP, then we got bought out by Tyson, but you were just a number. I mean, and that's what's so nice about working with agriculture still. I think a lot more in the cattle thing than even the hog thing, because you're not a number. It takes more individual, one-on-one time than it does. Hey, you need to feed this, and this to your pigs that, your 4,000 head in your building. So it's a great deal. It's a great company, and they're awesome people to work with.
With your position at Earlybird, where do you see it going within the next 5 years? Do you think it's going to expand or shrink the people that are looking for that?
Well, I would have told you when I started we were pretty well peaked out, but through our ability to LTL and basically go to different states, because there's a lot of different areas that can't get good food. I mean, and you don't think about it because, like, we've got a lot of people that we work with, like, just say Kentucky, and you're like, well, there's a lot of grain in Kentucky, but in retrospect, there's not a lot of mills that specify and show things. Well, we have the ability to, through our company is so broad in terms of the amount of products that we sell and manufacture, that we're able to go and fit so many small area, go to so many different needs. So if one guy gets a 2,500 pound pallet, it could have 5 different things on it for goats, pigs, cattle, and pigeons. I mean, but it is. I mean, we had an LTL order go out the other day that I think had 7 different species on it. So I think it was everything but monkeys,
Yeah.
So it was pretty interesting. And that was the part of it that I didn't see coming. I knew we could, and I knew we could get into some areas, but nothing like we are, and it's growing. I mean, we just built a mill building a mill in Chapin, and Roseville's up and rolling now, and we just hired Garrett Lampy not too long ago, and he's, I'm not, but I will tell you the one thing, our biggest secret to success starts in the mill with Clarence Drebner and Brad Crumholtz, because them 2 guys, without them, it doesn't, you can't they make us look good because of the quality of feed. And and we got Steve Miller there that, I mean, when somebody says, yeah, I want a high oat-based feed, Steve gets better oats than what you can buy at the elevator. He'll go out and source the oats and make sure that they've got a good test weight. And if they're not good enough, he rejects them. I mean, Steve's a stud. And first thing I did probably a month and a half after I was there was got in the Steve Miller van poster. And it hangs on his desk. So I give him a hard time. He's been with the company probably longer than anybody. And I wouldn't want his job because he's in charge of all the ordering and stuff. And when the amount of products you've got in a facility like that is scary. He's got to make sure we got it all. So as far as the answer, I know I kind of rambled a little bit there, but that I cannot believe how this thing continues to grow, and a lot of that is our ability to service. Just going out and seeing the livestock and making suggestions, and even now with phones and stuff, the ability to, somebody in Kentucky sends me a video of a heifer, I can't nail it, but I can get pretty close.
Alright, so our last question is, how has COVID affected your company and job?
Well, fortunately enough, we were on the mandatory list of people that could stay working because we had to feed livestock. But I would say, I would love to tell you that, God, it's been devastating to us, and but fortunately enough, we've had shows that are happening today, and people never lost hope, I guess, and they always had a goal. And maybe we lost, I'm going to say we probably lost 1/10 of what, guys that just said, middle of June, they canceled our county fair, I'm just going to ship my seed. And like we did that, we couldn't get a kill date, and we just basically sold them at the sale barn. I was tired of feeding them, and I wasn't going to feed them for 6 months to top date and kill date. So I truly believe I don't know the exact numbers, and I haven't talked to Lexi about it, but I don't think it truly affected us that much. Now, I can tell you that they're not in the feed side of it, but surrounding areas, I think it's affected it. And I don't think we're done. I think a lot of people, like where my wife works, I think they got, they had to borrow the money to keep going just because that guy had to make payroll and he had a bunch of instruments and stuff. This whole thing, I think, and I think it'll all be over at the end of the election, but until then, I think we got to keep fighting. So, yeah, but no, luckily we stayed, what do they call that? Not the mandatory.
Essential?
Yeah, essential. We were essential. We had the little thing that we had to carry in our truck, so in case we got pulled over, wire you out, that showed that we were essential. So, and if you think about it, when it first came out, I was nervous that, oh my God, are we going to be able to even go to our pastures and check our cattle? I mean, none of us knew what to expect. But it's been pretty steady, pretty good so far. So
that's all we have for today. Thank you guys for watching, and it's a great day to be in agriculture.